Roadshows and Stuff. I'm your host, Doug McClain.
Frank Mancina, what's going on? What do you think is going to happen in the future?
Do you have a lot of streaming services?
I got a few.
Like Amazon, Netflix?
The big ones. Yeah, Amazon,
Big
Netflix, and Disney.
Yeah, okay. Do you have HBO?
Never heard of it.
Do you have Apple or Hulu?
No. Crave?
Damn. Crave?
Is that Canadian? I don't know.
No, I think that's an outdoorsy bar, like a supplement if you're camping. Crave, did you say?
Crave, yeah.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of Roadshows and Stuff. I'm your host, Doug McClain, Vice President of Partnerships at MRA North America, joined here by Frank Mancina. Frank, what are you doing these days?
I'm the Director of Partnerships Canada, Doug. For MRA.
Amazingly powerful role. Carries a lot of weight.
It
Carries
does.
a lot of weight. Carries a lot of power. We should have an episode actually discussing how you sleep at night, knowing that you wield that much power within the company.
Thank you.
Anywho, today we're talking about one of the most important topics we've ever discussed in the history of roadshows and stuff. Canada.
That's right.
Canada. Yeah. Which
Know
is
a
a
little bit
country
about
north of America, in North America, right?
Huh, it is.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Second largest country in the world.
By land mass.
By land mass.
Yeah. Okay. The
Okay.
first of which, obviously, Ecuador.
Ecuador.
So, what is the first? Oh, Russia, probably. Or
Russia.
China.
Russia.
Yeah, Russia.
No, Russia.
Right? Yeah, yeah. No Russia, not to be confused with Russia, which is the neighboring country to no Russia. Anyway, we're talking about operating in Canada, the unique aspects of operating in Canada, the considerations one has to consider when entering and operating within Canada, and what a road show is like, how it's different than touring in any of the contiguous 48 states. So, Frank, where do we want to start with this one? Because there's a lot to talk about.
There's a
I
lot.
think we've got over 3 bullet points to hit, so we should get started here.
I have 4 actually. No, so I think one of the big things is, no pun intended, is how large the country is. Right.
Yes.
So you only have 8 major cities. So travel
That we know
of. So travel time through to city can be a bit challenging, right? There's 6 different time zones. It takes a week to get across the entire country, right? So
Yeah, that's right.
it's a bit the scheduling is a bit challenging.
You have a time zone east of Eastern Standard Time in the U.S., right?
That's right. That's
Isn't
right.
that
Newfoundland time zone.
Yes. So, if it was 5 p.m. right now in Detroit, which is an Eastern time zone, it would be
6:30.
4 p.m., 4 a.m. What very few of our listeners know is that Frank and I are also mathematicians, and
Let's put the clock up, Joe. What time is it in?
Yeah, no, they'd be an hour ahead, right? So it'd be 6 p.m.
A half hour.
Half hour. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they're the half hour time zone.
Oh my God, that's even crazier. Yeah, and I didn't believe you when you mentioned that like a week. We had to Google it.
Yeah, we did.
Because Google knows everything.
They do.
We've discussed also. Another one of our episodes.
So obviously it lends, but it also lends well to mobile because it's so big, right?
Sure.
So you can reach those small rural communities that may be sort of underserved, right? So for example, we did a tour for the Governor General of Canada.
Yep.
And the mandate was to go to cities that were 10,000 and under.
Yeah.
Right. So you'd be surprised of how many cities there are 10,000 and under in Canada.
Sure, between major markets too, and the type it's the type of places that if you break down, you basically die there, right?
Yeah.
Whoops. So population of Canada, what is it, 30-some million?
Yeah, 38 million.
US is
320
something.
30
20,
million.
yeah, 320.
Right.
Yeah. So roughly 46 times smaller than in the US population wise.
Something like
I did some quick math in my head. And because of that, you're right. How many major markets are there? There's like, there's Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Toronto, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Montreal, and Windsor, Ontario.
Windsor, Ontario.
Are the
St.
major
John's.
markets. Yeah, but you're right, because there are so many smaller, considerably sized towns, really,
Yeah.
that would otherwise be ignored of the national marketing campaign. And that's the great thing about mobile, right? It hits it. And the Governor General program, which served operated under the Dalai Lama.
Nope. Governor General of Canada.
Governor General. Okay. What was the one? The Aga Khan. That was another
Aga
program.
Khan Foundation. Yeah. So that was
Aga Khan
through the
Foundation.
Aga Khan Foundation and Aga Khan Foundation Canada and Global Affairs Canada.
So Frank, 10 minutes into the conversation, we've discussed nothing unique about Canada other than the fact that it doesn't have many people and the cities are very far apart. Border crossings.
But yeah, exactly. Yes, border crossings.
Am I jumping the gun? We don't have to go there.
I was going to touch base on it, talking about how, you don't necessarily have large corporations that are located in Canada. You obviously have a Canadian brand, like they're not headquartered in Canada, right? So you do have a lot of US programs coming into Canada.
Sure.
Through the multiple different, border crossings, whether that's, out in BC or the Windsor Detroit crossing.
New York.
But I think my point about like there's not a lot of large corporations headquartered in Canada is that they don't necessarily have the same budgets as the companies in the US, right? So that being said, you see a lot of small format, medium format vehicle sizes, right? You're not seeing the massive, double expandable trailers, out there, right? You're seeing more of like the sprinters and, the little tow behind 27-foot trailers, things like that.
And the marketing budget may incorporate all of North America too. It's not just isolated American market or Canadian market for that matter. So if you have a multi-year, multi-week program that originates in the States and it does do border crossings, what are some of the considerations that you have to think about? The pre-planning that has to be done for border crossing?
Yeah, so obviously with border crossing, it really comes down to the production side too, right? So as you're building the trailer, you got to keep in mind if you're going up to Canada or going down to the US, you're going to need the proper documentation to get down there. So it's essentially making sure you have all the correct paperwork, whether that's developing spreadsheets that kind of itemize everything, or
and not to reveal any secrets, but we've got that pretty much.
Yeah, we're pretty well versed.
We're pretty dialed in there, aren't we?
Yeah. So,
just because we do so much of it, right?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but I could see without pre-planning could be quite a hiccup, and you could even theoretically be detained, right, at customs.
Well, denied entry. I don't think you can.
Denied entry. Okay, yeah.
I don't think
Subject
you can be detained.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
You can be turned around. Like you can get to the border and say, "Well, you don't have the correct paperwork."
I'm just saying, in the sense that you could be detained for a few hours, affecting your schedule, right?
Okay, yeah.
Culminating and being.
I'm thinking detained, like.
Oh no, imprisoned. Imprisoned for 3 years? No. Because we do have an open border. What are some other unique attributes? Is that it?
Well, that's pretty much
language.
it. Well, language. That's true. Language up in Quebec and New Brunswick, which are primarily French-speaking provinces. And you do have to take into the consideration that there's certain laws that are in place in those provinces that recommend having the French language first, than the English, as opposed to English than French. So when working with some government entities or larger corporations, they always want to keep that in mind when you're going up there.
I did a trade show there. God, it had to be at least 10 years ago in Quebec. I forget what it was for. Was it in Quebec City? I think, and I was checking into a Holiday Inn up there, and the desk attendant did not speak any English. So I was like, pointing at my phone. I was like making like bird movements, trying to indicate that I was there to stay for the night. And yeah, I think I ended up sleeping in the parking lot. But yeah, it is something you have to think about, definitely.
Yeah,
Because
especially in the cities that aren't bordering some of, like a Montreal that's bordering, that are
Sure.
closer to the Ontario border, right? Where you have a
Yeah.
lot of bilingual, whereas Quebec City is not necessarily bilingual, right? So
Yeah, I think that pretty much does it for the,
yeah, no,
it's really not too much else to consider. Folks can always get more information from us if they're considering, a part of their program going into Canada or Canadian contingent to their, or as a complement to their U.S. program. But I think that brings us to everybody's favorite part of the show, or at least my favorite part, is
stuff.
it's roadshows and stuff. It's not just roadshows. That'd be boring. We'd
I
have
agree.
half of our weekly listeners if
It's
we only
true.
did roadshows, which means we'd have 2 weekly.
We had 2 weekly lists. Thanks, Mom.
Let me get my calculator. Yeah, parents. Frank, this week's question, and it's a soul searcher. So you can take some time here. I'll tell a quick story while you're thinking, if that helps pass the time. What is your personal favorite streaming show that you've ever seen? From the onset of these streaming services, so Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, HBO, Apple, Disney, bum, 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 bum. Think deeply. Favorite of all time, numero uno, which could be your all-time favorite show or movie in the history of movies or TV shows, right?
Okay, I honestly I loved Breaking Bad, and
yes.
I watched it twice. I streamed it over twice.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was really, a lot of people don't think, it's a show that takes a couple episodes to get going, but once
for
it
sure.
gets going, it's
It is
really
crazy.
enjoyed it.
It's so fake. I loved it though, and I only just saw it in its entirety probably 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
For the first time. And the beauty, I guess, about streaming services is the fact you can just watch one episode right after the other. And I think I was like married to my television for about 4 weeks or 5 weeks, because every night I would knock out like 3 or 4 episodes every single night.
But the best is because then you had some spin-offs, right? You have the Better Call Saul, which my wife and I just became fans of that too, because we love.
That's in its like 4th season, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, that's tough because it's a prequel, so the people are theoretically supposed to be younger. I'll never forget they did a Silence of the Lambs prequel a few years later using the same actors. It was Anthony Hopkins, whatever, who was already old to begin with when they did the original. So, 6 or 7 years later, they shot a prequel. He looks like he's 15 years older. And they taped his face back and he was
like The Irishman, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. With De Niro and I don't want to lose you on the other end. But
How about you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There was a show called The Patriot on Amazon. I forget what network it originally aired on, but The Patriot was absolutely fantastic. It was about a CIA agent. It was like a dark comedy. It's phenomenal. But one of my favorite sci-fis was Dark, which is 3 seasons. It's on Netflix, German speaking, so you have to watch it subtitled. But it had the most perfect story arc over 3 seasons. Nice. And it was super uber creepy about this tunnel that you could go into, and you would time travel.
Oh, that's cool.
And so you're constantly jumping around, visiting all the same families in different times, trying to solve this mystery. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Favorite of all time.
Still on Netflix?
Yeah. They'll keep it probably indefinitely. It was originally for Netflix. It was German production originally, aired on Netflix, premiered on it, and they'll keep it. Forever.
I wonder if it's on the Canadian Netflix though, because that's a bit different.
Ooh. Probably not, just because of the amount of distance between major cities. I think.
No, there's we have certain laws in Canada. We need Canadian content. So.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. Oh, wow. We should talk about that one of our episodes.
we just finished an episode about Canada. We probably should have talked about it.
Anyway, I think that officially wraps it up for this week. Frank, thank you very much for all of your insightful input
Likewise.
regarding
Likewise, Douglas.
a little bit myself. Yeah, a little bit myself. So if anybody wants more information, they can obviously go to our website, www.goemery.com. They can check out our social media things.
Yeah, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and
Yes.
YouTube.
And those are on the internet.
Internet,
Anybody
which
wants
is
to see
new,
those.
which is a new technology, and looking forward
All
to
right.